Well, welcome back, everybody. Once again, I'm Ben Glass. This is the LiveLifeBig podcast, where I get the opportunity to bring folks in, interesting people in the community, to just chat about things. And today, I've got a great guy, Tejas Patel. He's the coach, the boys soccer coach at Annandale High School. And I'll give you a little bit of the background. We run we call our Varsity Soccer Sportsmanship Challenge, where we give $500 to boys or girls teams who can make it through the spring high school season here without getting a yellow card for dissent or a red card for fighting or taunting. And this year we gave away $5,000. By the way, Colin, we were on the front page of the Connection today, so that's good. And when I met John Ellenberger, who was the Director of Student Activities at Annandale High School, I always asked the question, like, it's a boys team, like, what's going on at Annandale High School? Because they didn't have a really reputation for really good behavior. And he goes, well, let me tell you. He says, a year ago, I was watching the coach, and I didn't like the culture, and I didn't like the way the players were responding, so I fired the last coach, and I went out and looked for someone who would put discipline and sportsmanship way high on the list. And he found you, Tejas. So welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Before we went live, you were telling me a little bit about your background. Former Marine, big in the Boy Scouts, actually. And it turns out, Colin, knows my brother Dan, who was also big in the Boy Scouts, so shout out to Dan. American Red Cross and some other things. So give us kind of that picture of who you are and how you ended up at Annandale High School.
Sure, thanks. First of all, the reason why I think is really important, the reason why I do things. And I think the why is what helps drive me and to keep me centered and focused on what I want to do. I want to help make a difference in the community and to help specifically with youth, because they're the future of our society.
Absolutely.
And the best way, I think, for me to be able to leave a legacy is to be able to work with youth and to help provide mentorship and guidance. So that's one of the things that drives me when it comes to what I do.
Were you always that way, do you think, or did you discover this at some point in your life, that this was important and that you were good at it?
I think for me, service to the community and to the country has been instilled in me ever since I can remember. My parents are immigrants to this country. So they came to this country, and when I was born, my younger brother was born, they instilled in both of us, hey, you got to give back to your community and your country.
Did you, when they moved here, now were you born here?
Yes.
And so where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Metro DC area in Maryland, and first 18 years were there, and then after that moved away to college, and then after that just progressed through.
Did you play, I imagine you played sports growing up?
Yes.
In high school?
I started actually soccer at the age of 6 years old. Started playing soccer in Montgomery County, Maryland.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And grew up through that system, went through high school as well.
And then your parents are from India, so again, before we went live, you actually played like men's field hockey as well, because you travel back to India from time to time. And Tejas is also I guess it's only women here right now, but a high school field hockey coach, field hockey referee, and also a high school soccer referee until you started coaching.
Correct.
Okay, so but now let's loop back, because we started talking about service. Did you go to college?
Yes.
And where did the Marines come in then?
Sure. So after I completed my graduate degree, I then decided to join the Marines. And I've always enjoyed challenges. And after my undergrad, I went into the Peace Corps and served 2.5 years in Botswana, Southern Africa. Came back, got my master's degree.
In what?
In a master's in public health with an emphasis in international health policy at George Washington University. And then after that, I was like, okay, I want another challenge, and
Yeah.
joining the Marines is something which I've always wanted to do.
So at that point, I'm guessing you're slightly older than the cohort of other folks, men and women, who were joining the Marines at that time, right? Because college and then public service and then graduate school and then, let's take on this challenge of joining the United States Marines, right?
Generally speaking, yes. At OCS, Officer Candidate School, there would be a wide range of ages, because there were also other Marines who were maybe prior enlisted that were going into the officer ranks, and they were also of different ages as well.
And you told me part of your duties in the Marines were presenting, like speaking to large numbers of Marines. And so you got good at public speaking and being sort of we would call it an influential figure from the front of the room.
Yes, I enjoy platform speaking and having the opportunity to share my knowledge with others.
Now, is that something that's always come? Is public speaking something that's always come to you comfortably? Because it's like the number one fear that people have. I'm going to die if I have to get up in front of a room. Is that high school? Were you comfortable getting up in front?
Yeah, I think from elementary school, I enjoyed the opportunity to get up in front of my peers and talk, and whether it was a science project and presenting my science project. In high school, I played Julius Caesar in a play, and so I had a chance to show my theatrical abilities. So I enjoy that aspect a lot.
When you do you still do public speaking outside of your coaching and teaching?
I like to stay involved with, as I mentioned, Toastmasters International is an organization that I am a part of as well. I get a chance to continue to speak and to hone my skills, and they have competitions as well. You get a chance to really compete against other speakers.
What's your favorite topic? What do you like to get up and inspire people to do?
What I really enjoy about Toastmasters is something called table topics, where you walk up in front of the group and you don't know what the question's going to be you're going to be asked. And so the judge will provide you with a question right off the bat. You have no idea, and you have to think quickly and formulate a thought and then present it in a 1 to 2 minute.
So you do like challenges. Okay, so we've got graduate school, we've got foreign volunteer service, we've got United States Marines. Then tell me, keep me up on your path now.
Sure. So in the Marine Corps, that's where I learned the ethos of honor, courage, commitment, but also servant leadership. And that is something that has driven me and has kept me on my path towards what I want to be able to contribute to the community and society. After that, after completing my service with the Marines, I had a chance to be a business consultant in government consulting.
Really?
So I spent 4 years doing that, supporting various different organizations in our government. And so I was based out of Tyson's Corner.
So you must have got training. Who did you work for in Tyson's?
I was with a company called Bearing Point.
Okay.
And I was a team lead. And so part of that included being involved as a lead for a small group that would go to a client site to be able to help address any issues.
Yeah, and we get it. Business is complicated. Small biz, medium biz, big biz. Everybody needs a coach too. So that's really what you were doing there. Again, helping solve problems.
Right.
So cool. But at some point now you come back to education. Because I know you're a substitute teacher in Fairfax County. You told me before we went on live that you do a lot of that substitute teaching is at Annandale High School. So I grew up at TJ. I lived near Annandale, went to TJ when you had to be good at everything to get in, not just science and math, right? And Annandale was, of course, they were like our number one rivals because we were almost across the street from each other, from where I lived actually. So what was that path now into coaching, teaching high schoolers?
So when I was in the Marine Corps, I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And while I was an active duty Marine, when I was in North Carolina, in between deployments, I would coach, and I would be a volunteer coach for a local Jacksonville, North Carolina team. And so that's where I began my coaching.
Soccer?
Coaching soccer, yes. Coaching soccer, U10, under 10.
Yeah.
And it was just a great experience.
And you didn't have a kid on the team.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, to me, it's just, as I mentioned, just to be able to share my knowledge and to be able to help instill the love of the game, because soccer is my first love.
Yeah.
And I, to this day, still, if there's soccer playing somewhere, I'm going to watch it.
That's like us.
So, I mean, after that, I also led the coach. I was the coach of our battalion team as well. So I would help recruit other Marines to be part of the team.
Player coach at that point?
Player coach as well.
Yeah.
And then after that, as I continued to different professions, whatever location I was in, I tried to connect with the local community, and specifically the local soccer leagues, to be able to volunteer, help out, stay engaged with the community.
You look like you're like 25 years old, so I mean, you could have done all these things, right?
Well, that's kind, but no, that's definitely a lot more advanced in age than that. But.
So how did Annandale High School find you to be the soccer coach? Because this was the first year coaching at Annandale, was spring of 2019. And of course, Annandale Boys, if I didn't make it clear, was one of the teams that won $500 from our sportsmanship program. And so, first, congratulations for that. But how did they find you? And then I want to talk about like what you did when you went in there.
It was great. I was actually coaching at another school previously as an assistant coach, and had an opportunity to speak with, as you mentioned, John Ellenberger, the Director of Student Activities. And he and Principal Tim Thomas have been very supportive. And we interviewed, and we just built a really good connection. And he said, hey, go ahead and I told him what my plan was as far as what I wanted to do to help change the culture.
Well, yeah, so was that a part of the discussion? Is that, hey, okay, so soccer credentials, right? A lot of people have soccer credentials and come in and coach, right? But was there a bigger picture as part of this discussion when you're coming on? And
well, Mr. Ellenberger did mention that there were some items he wanted to see changed, and he made a point of mentioning that to me. And then I also followed up with some additional questions, so I was clear to know exactly what his mission, his goals were. And so up front, I knew what I was walking into, so to speak. And so I was prepared. And he said, hey, let's emphasize sportsmanship and being a positive.
That was like right down your alley, though, because the whole wanting to be involved in a positive way in any community that you had lived in, right? That's part of your DNA. And so here's an opportunity. Annandale's a rather small footprint school, I think a rather small footprint community, boundaries, and an eclectic collection of nationalities and culture, a lot of diversity, both at Annandale and all these Northern Virginia high schools now. And so talk to us a little bit about kind of walking in there with the team and establishing a new brand, like what we're going to work on this year.
And I can still remember the first time I met with the players. We had a meeting in December before the holiday break, right. And I walked in and had my shirt and tie, had my clipboard, and we had about 60 to 70 kids packed in a small classroom. And we just started talking. And I said, hey, this is one of the things, I'm Coach Patel, I'm going to be your new coach, and I just want to get to know you all. And I think taking that time to ask them questions and find out a little bit more about their perspective really helped. in building a strong relationship with them, and also providing me with information on what their perception was at the time.
So what are some of the things, so these are 16, 17, 18-year-old athletes. What are some of the things you heard? That's because I've not coached at that level. I've got 9 kids. I don't know if you knew that. So I've gone through all those ages. But what are some things you heard from the players that first meeting?
First of all, they want to know about me, who I am, my background, what formation I like to play, and those types of like tactical things.
Right.
and I answered those, but then I started to explain a little bit more about my philosophy, my ethos, and asking them, hey, how are things? How last season? How were things? What was your perception?
Was it fun
how did you
overall?
feel?
Yeah.
Bottom line is to have fun.
Yeah.
And I got varying opinions, but it was really good because I think the players had not had an opportunity to voice their perspectives. And that's something I always like to do, even at the end of this last season, is I have exit interviews with my players.
Oh, that's cool.
So myself and my assistants, my staff, we sit down with each player and say, hey, what went well? What are some things we can work on? Overall impressions. And that's something that I think is critical and vital to capture to help improve on for the next season. So that's exactly what I did with the group as a whole. So I had varsity and junior varsity. So all
that's a
grades
big
there.
crowd. That interest meeting, and of course I know that the tryouts in the freezing cold in February that's all. So that's always amazing. So any high school coach in Northern Virginia has a lot of players, a lot of bodies come out for those tryouts, and really within 3 or 4 days you're making big decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's tough.
So yeah, and then we had about 100 students come out for our tryouts, and I tell you what, my staff was fantastic. I had several assistants that really made the difference for me, and the support of Mr. Ellenberger and Principal Thomas to really help me in that honeymoon phase, so to speak, as far as being that first time coach at that school.
So it's interesting because Colin Tejas was telling me that he didn't even know about the contest, actually, the program, until I guess near the end of the season. So, and yet you took a team where, again, culture was not great. And if you asked a lot of referees around town about, referees talked about reputations of schools and coaches and stuff. They weren't the worst, but they weren't the best. And you turned that around. So talk to us a little bit about that messaging, and if there was messaging to the parents, I don't know as well. But it's really hard to get boys, high school soccer players, to be so disciplined. It's cold in February and March, then you have moderate temperature, and then when the temperature is warming up is when like the critical district or conference, whatever they call it these days, games and regional playoffs and that sort of stuff. So how you wanted to bring a new brand of sportsmanship to the program. Talk to us about that. How did you get them? It's one thing for coach to give a speech, right? It's another thing to actually see a result that's proof positive that this stuff works.
Right. So in January, when we started our tryouts, I had a meeting right before the tryouts. I said, these are some of my expectations. And I also had the players provide their perspectives as well.
Again, yeah.
So I think having that collaborative approach is really important because it provides that buy-in that's necessary. And so to talk to them about what would be some of the instances or infractions that we may face throughout the year and what should be the consequence. And so whether it's low grades or not going to class or being disrespectful to a teacher, we would put these different instances up on a board, and then the players would say, okay, what would be the consequence for that?
Yeah, and so you weren't just laying down Coach Patel's rules. You were getting, you said, buy-in, agreement, consensus on, yeah, we want this stuff to be important. I mean, this stuff matters. And so how are we going to handle it as a team?
Absolutely, Ben. I think that's the key. And when the players were providing input, I felt that it would, one, bring us together as a team and as a family, and also at the same time, keep each other accountable. And I utilized, when the captains were chosen, I had my players vote for captains and say, who do you think should be a captain? And so they had input.
Did you talk a little bit, did you talk to them about like leadership? Like what are the qualities of a leader generally? Because you had this military experience in other organizations. Did you do that with them?
I expressed in general terms my expectations and how I'd like to see them behave in school and on the pitch. Yeah. It's very important that it's consistent throughout and also in the community. And so I would tell them at practice, hey, we are going to stay consistent. We're going to stay proper when it comes to how we're going to be conducting ourselves, because you're not just a reflection of yourself. You're a reflection of your family, your school, your community. And so it's important that when you're out there, you are representing Annandale High School, the Annandale Nation, and you have to present yourself in such a way.
And so how was the season? I didn't actually go back to check win losses and how far you made in districts or regionals, but how was it their first year?
It was fantastic. This is the first time and I was talking with Mr. Ellenberger, first time in recent memory that the boys soccer team won a regional playoff game.
There you go.
So we were really, the team did really good. The boys did a really great job, and they gelled. They came together as a team. I would see conversations where players were mentoring and coaching each other on the field. I mean, that was, to me, almost like an epiphany for the students and the players. They got a chance to really work together, the team, communicate together, and work together. And after winning that first game and then having the support of the fans and the entire Adam Nation was really something to see. I mean, it really made myself and our staff just really proud of the boys.
I'm curious, so I know that preseason the coach will typically have a meet and greet with the parents and stuff. How was your relationship with the parents? There's a lot of times you have good kids, good coaches, good administration, and the folks in the stands are knuckleheads. I don't know whether that, I've sat in many high school soccer stands where that was true, and as a referee, I've seen it as well. What was it like in Annandale, and what were your discussions with the moms and dads?
Well, at Annandale, there was a small group of parents that were very interested, and it was a small group, so it wasn't necessarily the majority of the parents. Right. And so what I did was I made sure to get the contact information for all the parents and made sure I emailed them on a regular basis. Whether I saw them or not, I usually didn't see them until a match, but at least they knew consistently throughout the season what my expectations were, what the plan was for practices, et cetera, and I think that was a key thing for me and our staff, was to be able to be communicative with the parents so that they knew exactly where we were coming from.
So the message is echoing. The message is coming from you during practice, you when you see them in school, and then the same message is coming from home, hopefully, right?
Absolutely. It's like three legs of a stool.
Yeah.
Between the coach, the teacher, and the parent. All three working in unison together and having consistent theme. And that makes a huge difference. And so I communicated with the teachers. And so the teachers had an issue with a player. They would email me. They would stop me in the hallway. They say, hey, this is what's happening. Then I would go back and I would talk to the player. And then there would be consequences.
Yeah. You told me, at least one time a player didn't get to play in a game because he had broken one of the team rules about showing up for class and stuff. So before you went to Annandale, you coached, assistant coach at, I think, more than one high school, right? And then you have also been for, I don't know how long, but you were a high school soccer referee as well. How long have you done that?
It's been 2 to 3 years.
Okay, of course you didn't referee this year because you're coaching. So I'm curious as to your observations overall about. So 2 years ago, Washington Post, big article, toxic culture of Northern Virginia high school, mainly boys soccer. But as a guy who's been on the field in the middle and now on the field at the bench, what's your general observation about the sort of the state of high school soccer, vis-a-vis sportsmanship, the stuff that we're really trying to accomplish with high school athletes?
It's a really interesting question, and I think emotions run high in any sport.
Yeah.
I mean, you see examples of it recently, the baseball game in Colorado, where we had parents getting
that was
violent.
Horrible viral video.
But the level of toxicity, I think, depends on the leadership. And I think when it comes to any type of organization, a school, whatever, as long as the tone is set from the beginning, I think it makes a really big difference with regards to how it manifests out on in the stands or on the pitch in the field.
100%.
So it's always been there, I think, but it's just a matter of how it's projected.
Yeah. Who was that school that went to last to give the award to down in Prince William?
Hayfield?
Manassas Park. No. The boys team. Boys and girls, they both won.
They both won, yeah. No, it wasn't in it was you sure it wasn't Hayfield?
No.
I'm pretty sure it was
Boys and girls, the one we went to and it was raining. We were outside.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was another team where really the coach is like, no, we make sportsmanship a priority. And
Garfield
High School. So shout out to Garfield boys and girls too. So all right, so and you have a unique perspective as coach and referee. So let me just ask you a couple questions about that. So what do you think that each of those two groups wished the other knew about? Knew more about that.
I think one of the important things is that everyone's human. And the referee and the coach, they're going to make mistakes. Yeah. It happens. And to be in a place where you can understand that these things happen and to be able to forgive, I think that's something that is important. So having the understanding that no one's going to be perfect and that people will make mistakes or look at things from a different perspective. And as a coach, saying, okay, these things happen.
Yeah.
And to be able to keep yourself composed so that the players see a good positive reaction to a call that maybe didn't go in your favor. And I think that's something that I try to pride myself on. Like if there's a call against the team, I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah,
just compose yourself.
Yeah, and obviously successful at it. The reality is that life is going to send all of us a lot of bad days, right? And there'll be even people out there in the world who are out to get you, right? And there's all sorts of adversity, and being able to pick yourself back up and realize that you control the emotion. And I just read an article about the University of Maryland men's lacrosse team, right? Because they had that game with UVA. The referee gave a goal when the ball clearly hit the crossbar and didn't go in. And Maryland was really, they could have really been done out. And every article I read about it was like their attitude was that these guys must be good referees or else they wouldn't be refereeing NCAA tournament. And it was our job to go score more goals than UVA did, right? It's not the referee's fault that we lost the game. And so, yeah, it's hard, but I think that Osborne Park, Annandale High School, guys like you who are out there are proving that if we focus on this, and if the adult leadership at schools, the adults in the stands, if they're on board and have a unified message, even though they're 16, 17, 18-year-old boys and girls, they will get it, right? It's actually possible. When I started the program, a lot of my referee friends told me, well, you'll never have to give away a dime, right? Because it's boys and girls and it's Northern Virginia and they'll never be good for the whole season. And we've just proven that it's not true. All right, so what's next for you? Because you're an impressive guy. You've done a lot. Everywhere you go, it seems like you've planted roots and tried something different. You told me you like challenges, right? What's next?
Well, I'm looking forward to next season and getting the players started this summer with conditioning. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to hopefully have the opportunity to get linked up with one of the travel teams in the area.
You personally as a coach?
As a coach, and to be able to continue to help instill positive attitudes, positive viewpoints to more youth. And so tell me, Ben, if you know any teams out there looking for a coach, please let me know.
There's all sorts of. I'm not that tied into that part of the community anymore since my kids have all gone and grown. But there's all sorts out there, and of course, there's endless opportunities for you to continue to develop yourself as a coach, right? As a technical coach of a team. But I just want to congratulate you for having such a great influence. There's so much. Just in the world, you open the paper, the news is negative. If you turn on TV news, talk shows, they just all want to talk about the negative stuff that's going on in the world, because I guess that draws clicks and stuff. We want to keep bringing in people like you who are like, no. You wake up every day, it's a fresh day, you can make your own decisions, and you control the outcome of your own life. So congratulations for what you've done, and I do wish you the best of luck. You told me you want to get on that path to get certified, I guess, as a full-time teacher in Fairfax, and that should be an easy path for a guy like, with your background. They should make this a brain dead easy, because they need more of you, right, in front of these kiddos.
Well, I'd like to thank you and BenGlassLaw for having this great challenge. I think it's really something that's very positive and important for our community. Yeah. So I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront and getting out there, out front, and taking the initiative. And I think more people like that in our community will make a better impact.
The only bad part is they don't let me referee the teams that are in the program. So it's great, but it's like, okay, here's your game, and it's in Loudoun County. Or it's, far away in Prince William County, and, leaving the office at sometimes 4:30 in the afternoon on a weekday to go west in Northern Virginia it's not fun. But I really enjoyed it. I've been refereeing for, I think, 46 or 47 years. I started when I was 16 or so. So I like it. I like having a little bit of an impact there. So, dude, thank you so much for coming in. It was great to have you. You're a real inspiration. If there's anything that we can do for you, to help get your message of hope and inspiration out, we'd love to team up with you. Talk some more about that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin.